And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Our school systems are making our students weaker. You go to school here, you take no risk. That's why my poor dad was poor. He didn't like to make mistakes. Jack Ma, who was the founder of a little company called Alibaba, he just recently said, if you're 35 and you're not rich and successful, you'll never be successful. Of course, Jack Ma is a school teacher, former school teacher who struck it rich. But naturally, they have this idea that if you're not successful in school, you'll never be successful in life. And my contention has always been, it almost damages you in school. You know, school damaged my brain, and my father was the head of education for the state of Hawaii, PhD. And I hated school. I mean, I sat there and getting pounded all the time for being stupid.
Fantastic.
And the hardest thing for me was I was always labeled stupid. Now, the good news was, the more they labeled me stupid, the more inspired I got to prove them wrong. So actually it worked in reverse, but I also saw other kids got labeled stupid and they believed it.
Yeah.
I'm one of those kids that don't like school. You know, school is good for people who like school. But here was my poor dad, head of education, PhD, on the governor's board of Hawaii and all this stuff, and his kid, me, and I'm flunking out of school because I can't read, I can't write. And I said I couldn't read, I couldn't write. I was bored out of my mind, you know. I was just, hey. So what I did instead was, that's when I met my rich dad, who was my best friend's father, and he used these things called a game. See, games are the best teaching tools. See, when I'm playing this game, this is how the rich taught their kids battle strategies called chess. My rich dad taught me to be a rich man playing Monopoly. We played Monopoly hour after hour after hour. You know, the formula for great wealth of Monopoly is 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. So today in Arizona, I own 8,000 greenhouses and several red hotels. I just play Monopoly for real. So that's the power of a game, because a game engages me mentally and spiritually. Physically, because I actually have to move things. Emotionally, because when somebody knocks me out, I better wake up. You know, I made a mistake. But when I was in high school, most of my teachers were terrified. Job security, don't make mistakes. Just memorize the right answer and you'll be safe. And that's why most school teachers aren't rich. You know, I have bad luck too. I've had financial crashes. I've had people stab me in the back, but they're all good because I grow from it. You know, people who are afraid of making mistakes, like they teach in school, they don't ever grow. Most people only want to be right. Well, you can't have that. That's not reality. Every time I failed, it was like, good. I said, okay, what have I learned? And the average person, the reason they're poor is they haven't failed. You know, they play it so safe. They haven't made any mistakes like they taught in school. That means they don't learn anything. That's why the school system's actually fundamentally corrupt. Well, every time I do a lot of speaking to the masses out there, they go, well, you know, it's so risky. What you're saying is risky. And I said, what I do isn't risky for me, but it's risky for you. And when somebody says, what is risk? You have to look in the mirror. Do you know what I mean? For me to fly in Vietnam, that was high risk. But the higher the risk, the more you have to study. But the higher the risk, the higher the returns, but also the higher dedication, education, and study you have to go through. So today, and I make more in a day than many people make in a lifetime. But it was worth it. Did I lose? Sometimes, yes, but it was worth it. You go to school here, you take no risk. That's why my poor dad was poor. He didn't like to make mistakes. And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter.
Yeah.
You know, so you may know the answer, but you can't do anything. In school, they compensate for risk by telling you to memorize the right answer. So in other words, these kids leave, young people like you, leave school thinking, oh, if I know the right answers, then there's no risk. And it drives old guys like me crazy. They know all the answers, but they're afraid of doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest complaint about my generation is millennials know all the answers, but they can't do anything. And the reason they can't do anything is because you might hurt somebody's feelings, You might make a mistake. And that just keeps you guys just trapped in this little box here.
Yeah.
Our school systems are making our students weaker. So in school, they have these things called now trigger effects. So you can't, as a teacher, you can't say anything that might upset the student. They don't want anything that might jar their point of view. So if I went into school, I'd be thrown out because I threaten them. And to me, isn't school about opening your eyes and minds to new ideas? But that's now out of the system. So everybody's got to be PC, politically correct now. It's one of the questions, what's the FAQ, frequently asked question. What is your biggest failure? What is your biggest failure? And these people are terrified of failure. And I said, well, I don't think I've made my biggest failure yet. I'm going to make another one coming up, And for me, it's always been how you address the subject called failure. And I failed out of school, I failed in business, I failed this way, but I just kept going. The school system was designed to teach you to be an employee, but never about money. What most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody. And when people ask me, how did your rich dad learn this when your poor dad, a PhD, didn't? And the answer is very simply, my rich dad was my best friend's father. His father died when he was 13. So his rich dad had this family business at 13 to run. So he had to drop out of school was his blessing. Sometimes the blessing doesn't look like a blessing, but it turned out to be a blessing. And then his teachers became his bookkeeper, his accountant, his attorney, his banker, his real estate agents. So he has what I call real teachers, not these fake teachers in school. You see, most teachers in school, they're out of ethics. They teach subjects they themselves don't practice. I had the same problem in my MBA program. I got into arguments with the marketing teacher because the guy didn't have a business. And then I got into arguments with the accounting teacher because the accounting teacher didn't know accounting. I knew more about accounting than him because I actually worked in bookkeeping in my rich dad's companies. And so I'm not an accountant, but I understand accounting. So that was the end of my school years because I understood what a fake teacher is. A fake teacher is somebody who just wants a job and they'll teach anything. They teach how to shine shoes if you pay them more money. But they really don't know what they're teaching. And that's why in life, one of the things I suggest to people, you gotta find a real teacher versus a fake teacher. And a fake teacher is somebody who doesn't do what they teach. And a real teacher is doing what they teach every day. So my accountants, my attorneys, they're in it every single day. That's how I learn, because every day I'm solving problems in my business. So I have accountants and attorneys and bankers and all these people on speed dial because I'm solving problems with my team. In school, I was very successful as long as I could cooperate at test time. But in school, cooperation at test time is called cheating. In the real world, the guys that have the biggest team win. So all I focus on is putting the best team together. Meanwhile, a lot of the time, the A students in school, they're the doctors and lawyers, they're sitting there all by themselves. They're sitting ducks, but they're entrepreneurs. Do you know what I mean? It's just a mindset, tactics, strategy. I went to military school. I'm a former Marine. So I think like a military operation, which I love chess. So most entrepreneurs, they have this job, and they go, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And this guy should massacre him.
That's very good.
Because they went to school, they learned to get a job, and they take tests on their own. They have to be the smartest. I don't want to be the smartest guy in my team, but I want to have the best team. It's anti-education. Don't make mistakes and don't ask for help. If I didn't ask for help, I have my accountants, my attorneys, my bankers, and all that. I go into business like a rugby team. But the average guy is standing there, oh, I'm an A student, I'm going to do this all on myself. And a bunch of rugby players run you over, and you go, well, they're not playing fair. Yeah, well, you're playing stupid. You should have a team. You should have accountants, attorneys, and bankers and all that stuff. But that's not the game I want to play. I said, then don't play the game. The game of business is played with accountants, attorneys, bankers, hate to say it, politicians, You got to know the game. So what I say to young people is, you find your game. But my game financially is business, number one. Second is real estate. And that's why I pay no taxes. That's why Trump pays no taxes. Legally, it is a combination of business and real estate that gives us an unfair advantage over employees because they don't know what to do.
You just have to stop listening to those school teachers who are poor. Most school teachers, like my poor dad, very good people, but they're so terrified of making mistakes. They want a steady paycheck and they want a guaranteed pension. I don't think you can get rich from that point of view. Look at this chart here. It's called the cash flow quadrant. E and S, employee and self-employed. That was my poor dad. These guys work for money. These guys are not capitalists. They work for money and they invest their own money. On the B and the I side is my rich dad side. That's the capitalist side. Capitalists use other people's labor and other people's money to get rich. Which side do you want to be on? I'd rather be on the capitalist side. So that's the only difference. It's a whole shift of mindset and education, but everybody can do it if you want to do it.